On Thanksgiving Day, my sister threw a plate at me because I wouldn't let her and her triplets move into my home. "You're so selfish," she yelled. And my mom added, "Don't call me your mother anymore." I just stood up calmly, smiled, and called my lawyer. "Everything is just as you said. Activate the plan." 20 minutes later. My name is Derek. I'm 32, a journalist, the quiet oldest kid who learned early to write things down because no one in my family listened when I spoke. I cover city budgets and housing scams for a living. People joke that I can smell a grift like coffee. In my family, that's not a joke. It's a survival skill. I own a small 2-bedroom house I saved for 7 years to buy. I pay my taxes on time. I keep receipts. I fix my own leaky sink because paying someone felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. I'm the one who gets the 2 a.m. "Can you help calls?" I'm the one who shows up. My sister Carla is 29 and a single mom of triplets. 3 loud, sticky, beautiful toddlers who deserve the world. And a mother who thinks I am the world's wallet. Mom Lorna runs logistics like a general, but only when it benefits Carla. Dad floats somewhere in the background like a TV left on. Noise, not action. Thanksgiving at Mom's is always loud. Turkey, plastic tablecloth, folding chairs, cranberry sauce that keeps the ridges of the can like a badge. We don't do prayers. We do speeches that sound like invoices. It started when I put down the pie. Carla leaned over my plate and said, casual but sharp, "You'll give us your spare room this month. The lease is a mess. We're moving in Sunday." I blinked. That's my office, and my house isn't baby-proof for 3 toddlers. Mom cut in. "Don't be dramatic. You can ride at the kitchen table." I laughed once. No. The room went still. The triplets banged plastic spoons on the high chairs like a drum roll. Carla's voice dropped. "You're seriously saying no to your family?" "Yes," I said. "We agreed I'd co-sign advice, not mortgages. You've had my couch twice already. I'm not a landlord." Carla's jaw tightened. Then she lifted a plate, gravy, stuffing, all of it, and threw it at me. It hit the wall beside my head and slid down in a brown streak. "You're such an egoist," she yelled. "You live alone with 2 bedrooms while we're drowning." Mom didn't flinch. "Don't call me your mom anymore if you're going to act like a stranger." Forks paused midair. Dad reached for the remote like maybe he could change the channel on his own life. I wiped gravy off my sleeve. I smiled because sometimes that's the only thing that keeps you from exploding. I stood up, walked to the porch, and called my lawyer. "Everything is just as you said," I told her quietly. "Activate the plan from the kitchen." Carla shouted. "He's calling his lawyer on us." I hung up and came back to the table. No speeches now, just breathing. No one noticed the tiny red light on the baby monitor camera pointed at the dining room. Still recording from earlier. I had set it up to keep the kids from wandering into the stove. Turns out it kept the adults honest, too. 20 minutes later, phones dinged in the living room. No one checked them. Not yet. If you ask my family, I changed when I bought my house. If you ask my bank app, I changed the day I stopped being a walking overdraft fee. I grew up paying for things that weren't mine. Senior year, my grad fee bounced because Mom used my account number by accident for a cable bill. First year out of college, I split a 1-bedroom with a roommate and sent Carla $200 a month because diapers. When the triplets were born, I took night shifts to cover her hospital parking passes. I didn't mind then. She was scared. I was proud to help, but help became default. Default became duty. Duty became debt. My phone is full of little messages that tell the whole story. D. Can you spot me $60 formula? Derek, we need $300 for a new stroller. The old one is bad for their hips. Hey, can you switch the utilities into your name for a week? My credit is weird. My credit was fine until it wasn't. Carla lived with me twice. The first time, 3 months. The second time, 5. It cost me a security deposit on a place the landlord said was kid-friendly and turned out to be kid-allergic. Holes patched with toothpaste, crayons on every wall. I painted over rainbows at midnight because the landlord did surprise inspections like it was a game show. When they moved out the second time, I promised myself never again. I even wrote it in my notes app like a binding contract. I told Mom plainly. She said, "We'll see." Then came the new crisis. Carla signed a lease with a boyfriend who disappeared before the ink dried. She couldn't cover rent plus daycare plus car payment. She asked me to move in with her for a while and pay the difference. I said I'd help with a budget, find a cheaper place, call the county about childcare vouchers. She heard one word. No budget to Carla sounds like diet to a foodie. She wants results without changing a thing. In our family group chat, Mom posted a photo of my house and wrote, "Plenty of space. Family first." Relatives reacted with hearts like they were voting on a talent show. No one asked me. I said, "No one is moving into my home. I love you. I will help you find resources." Mom replied, "Resources? We are your resource." Carla added, "Don't lecture me, reporter boy. That's the other thing. I write about public corruption. I'm careful. I keep copies. I skin documents like a hobby. When Mom says you owe us, I hear, we want you quiet." 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I noticed a $19.99 charge from a kid's game in my bank statement. Then another, then a $79.99 super pack. My card was in my wallet. I asked Carla. She sent a shrug emoji and a voice note. They must have clicked something. Relax. On a card you don't have. I asked. Mom had it that one time for groceries, she said. Maybe later we can just combine accounts, so it's simpler. Family plan. I froze. No. Wow. She texted back. You're obsessed with money. I started getting friend requests from her landlord, her daycare, a bouncer from a bar near her block. Then a text from an unknown number. This is Mike from Best Value Auto. Carla said, "You're the guarantor." She's behind. I called Carla. She said, "Don't freak out. They just send those." I said, "They send those to guarantors." I never signed anything. That's when my reporter brain lit up. I pulled my file box from the closet. I flipped through leases, utility bills, any form with my name. In a subfolder labeled emergency, I found a photocopy of my driver's license I had once sent to Mom to add me as an emergency contact at a clinic. Someone had written my SSN on a sticky note and stuck it to the page. The sticky note was gone. I felt sick. I changed passwords. I called the bank. I put a fraud alert on my credit. I called my lawyer Nina, who handles tenant ride stories with me and moonlights as the friend who says document everything. Do not confront. Na said not yet. Let them say it first. It's Thanksgiving. I said all the better. She said everyone together. Everyone honest. The message from Mom came 2 days before the dinner. Your cousin Luke can take your office if it's too hard for the triplets. He starts a new job Monday and needs a place near the bus. A chorus of "So generous of you," Derek followed. I hadn't agreed to anything. I replied, "No. Carla, don't be petty. It's temporary. Me. Temporary is how I lost 2 years of savings." Mom called. "You're cold." She said, "Family sacrifice is how we survive." I sacrificed my 20s, I said. "I'm done." Silence, then a hiss. "If you shut your door on your sister and her babies, don't call me your mother." I didn't plan to call her anything. I planned to eat turkey, say hello to the triplets, and keep my mouth closed. Not texted. Remember, let them talk. Record nothing illegally, and if they escalate, we follow through. Follow through with what? I asked. You'll see. She texted. Just keep your hands clean. The morning of Thanksgiving, I brought pie, set up the baby monitor facing the stove because kids and burners are a bad mix, and told myself, no arguments. Then Carla told the room she'd be moving in Sunday. Then I said no. Then a plate flew. Then Mom pulled out the biggest weapon she has. Shame. I didn't raise my voice. I wiped my sleeve and walked to the porch to call Na. She answered on the first ring. Everything is just as you said. I told her. Okay, she said. Activate the plan. Number 1, boundaries. Number 2, truth. Number 3, legal. Smile, eat dinner, and leave on time. 20 minutes, she said, and you'll hear the first domino. The first ding came from the living room TV, not a phone. Dad had cast the baby monitor feed to the screen earlier, so everyone could watch the kids while they ate. He forgot to turn it off. The monitor had been recording to the cloud since morning. Public space. Obvious camera. Blinking red light. Legal. Visible. Dumb, but legal. The TV flashed a thumbnail. New clip saved. 12:41 p.m. to 1:09 p.m. Carla's voice from an hour earlier filled the room. Casual laughing recorded from the kitchen. Don't worry, she'd said to Mom on that clip. If Derek says no, we'll just move in anyway. He melts when the boys cry. Worst case, we change his locks while he's at work. Like last time, Mom's voice, he'll forgive you. He always does. And if he gets loud, I'll tell the cousins he's having a breakdown. The room went dead quiet. Aunt Teresa looked at me. Uncle Joe looked at the ceiling like it had answers. Carla lunged for the remote. Dad got there first, handshaking. He fumbled the buttons and only made it louder. On the recording, Carla kept going. I already used his card once. He didn't even notice. I felt my throat close. Mom's voice again. Delete the alerts. He doesn't check. Another ding. Everyone's phones now. Nina had just emailed me. And apparently Mom copies of texts I'd sent over the past year offering childcare resources messages where I'd said no politely, and replies where Mom and Carla had laughed in the group chat about Operation Guilt. Derek Na had compiled a neat PDF. I didn't ask how she got the screenshots from relatives. People get braver than you expect when someone throws a plate at you. Carla pointed at me saying I set them up, and I reminded her I showed up with pie while she hit me with dinnerware. Mom stood there, chin lifted, insisting I was making everything bigger than it was. I told her adding me as a guarantor without consent, using my card, and planning to change my locks were already big. Aunt Teresa whispered gooer, but I kept going. Mike from Best Value Auto had called about a copy of my license with a sticky note where my SSN used to be, the same one I sent Mom for a clinic form. Mom didn't blink, just accused me of painting her as a villain. I told her I was making a list, not writing a story. Carla slammed the table, yelling that I owed them because we were family, so I pushed my phone over with numbers. $1,286 for emergencies at her apartment, $1,190 in food deliveries to her place, $679 in subscriptions she somehow put on my card, daycare late fees I covered, the screen door I replaced, the ER trip when she couldn't get an Uber, all out of love, but love isn't a debit card. Mom called it cruelty. I called it a boundary. Carla grabbed her coat saying they were moving in Sunday, and I told her she couldn't because she returned her key and the locks were changed. Mom realized her own key ring was empty, with a note inside her purse in Na's handwriting. Keys are not commitments. She called me unbelievable. I said that was better than unforgivable. The triplets fussed, Dad muttered for calm, and I said I was leaving because I didn't feel safe. Mom accused me of running away, but I walked out as my phone buzzed. Nina saying step 3 was ready. The next morning, at 7:13 a.m., I watched from the camera as Mom and Carla showed up with suitcases and the stroller. I didn't open. They called, texted, threatened cops, and Mom claimed I'd locked babies in the cold until Na sent the certified letter to the group chat stating clearly they weren't tenants, had no permission to be there, and that any forced entry would be illegal. Plus screenshots of Carla's own messages about using my card and changing my locks. Relatives shifted fast, some defending me, some peeling off, and I spoke through the intercom offering shelters, clinics, diapers, but no housing. Carla cried until a fraud alert hit my phone. Then her voice went flat again, calling it war. I told her it was rules. Mom posted on Facebook. Na told me not to respond. We followed the plan. I prepaid daycare anonymously, sent a grocery-only gift card, forwarded subsidized housing info, blocked her merchants on my cards, activated two-factor everywhere, froze my credit. Then I emailed the family, calm facts, no heat, about the plate, the lock plan, the fraud, and my new boundaries. No housing adults, no guarantor roles, no cash, only direct help for the kids, and police involvement if anyone tried to use my address or employer against me. Reactions rolled in, some supportive, Mom shaming me. Nina later told me the bank reversed the charges and Best Value Auto backed off. Plus, she sent a fake roommate agreement Carla had forged with a bad version of my signature. The baby monitor audio alone could get a restraining order, but I said I didn't want that, just peace. Over the weekend, Mom tried new tactics, like calling my editor, who simply gave me the afternoon off. Carla's landlord updated me that she was moving to a smaller unit with help. At night, guilt crept in, but checking my bank balance reminded me what stability felt like. On Monday, I drove Carla to meet a nonprofit caseworker. She wanted to argue in the driveway, but the triplets fussing pushed her into the car. She asked if I thought I was better than them. I said boundaries make me better for them. She accused me of lawyering up against Mom. I said I got a lawyer for myself. The meeting was dull but necessary, and when the caseworker asked who had supported her financially, Carla jerked her head at me and muttered the egoist. And the woman calmly replied that egoists don't usually show up. Riding home in silence, she got out of her building and then, quietly, asked if the boys had to call me Uncle Derek or if they could just call me Derek. I saved my mom's voicemail because it was the first time in years she offered something that wasn't a burden. I've learned love isn't endless yes, it's choosing what has edges. I'm not rich or cold. I still clip coupons, send Carla resources, and let the boys climb all over me. But I answer messages like a grown man who knows the cost, and my home is no longer an emergency shelter. Mom and I talk carefully now, sticking to safe topics. When she says, "You should," I say, "I won't," and let the silence teach both of us. Carla and I aren't friends, just siblings with a treaty, meeting at the park for the boys' sake. My lawyer keeps me grounded, my editor gave me time to rest, and I created a daycare fund with a strict cap that I never break. The real turning point wasn't the plate. It was me not opening the door the next morning, letting their discomfort be theirs instead of buying it away. Now I help the children, not the adults' chaos. I don't explain boundaries twice. I walk away from flying plates, and I protect my name. I kneel for the boys, carry only what's mine, then go home to the quiet house I earned. And when a message says, "You owe us," I breathe, smile, and reply the same two words, "No thanks."